Testing, testing. JB here. Hope everybody's doing outstanding. September 20th, 2023. It is Fed Day. It's about 1:40 here. 20 minutes before the Fed statement. Then we have the press conference at 2:30 from Chairman Powell. Right now, the market has been chopping around just like it did yesterday. I wouldn't call yesterday a chop, but big pull. I think it was 12:30 or so, hit lows right at the 440 handle on the SPY, then bounced, melted higher for the rest of the session. Today we gapped higher. Now we're chopping around here. Almost looks like we're going to go red here in a little bit here on the SPY, sitting here at 443. So certainly going to be interesting. I'll start with the Fed quick. I'm only going to talk for about 10 minutes. WW has an event, so I wouldn't call it an event. Oprah's going to be hosting and I think the title just came out. It's called, she's presenting a conference called The State of Weight. And I think it's a multi-week thing what she's going to do. So hopefully that has a positive spin, puts some FOMO into WW and trades into the 12s and 13s into the end of the week, and talk about LULU, GNRC, ISRG, and whatever else I can squeeze in the next 10 minutes without running out of breath. But first, I'll talk about the Fed. I think it's pretty easy right now. There's a 99% probability, or at least the market's pricing in a 99% probability that there will be no rate hike at this meeting. So we'll find out in 20 minutes. The probability for a rate hike at the November meeting is the first week in November. There's no meeting in October, but typically it's like third week or so of the month. So the fact that it's the start of November kind of takes Octobers and Novembers and puts them together. 26% probability of a rate hike, and then 34% or so into December. If Powell's able to come on at 2:30 and almost paint the picture that maybe there won't be any rate hikes for the rest of the year, that maybe that puts a bid into the market. Any surprise rate hike or rate cut, and I think the market's just going to tumble because market doesn't do well with uncertainty. And when you have a 99% certain event that's going to happen, and that 1% that wasn't expected and happens, I don't think that's going to bode well. So areas on watch, I put on a watch list the last couple of days, but 440 on the SPY, you can see it held up pretty well yesterday. We get some weakness right after the Fed statement, which the Fed statement typically is going to be volatility even if it comes in as expected. So I won't be surprised to see either a pull down to maybe 442 or so, then a reversal back into the green, and until then we get the press conference, and then everybody's going to be listening to what Powell has to say. I put it on the watch list as well this week. I use the phrase all the time, I'm not putting my bear suit on just yet, but I think if there's I guess the path of least resistance right now, I think is more to the downside than the upside. And I'm not saying a huge 5% pull or something to that effect, but maybe just a little more weakness, and then maybe we can find some footing. There's no real big catalyst going for the rest of the month besides the Fed. Then next month starts the Q2 earnings season, which is it Q2 or Q3? Well, Q3, yeah. What am I? Q3 earnings season. So should be the next, and then obviously the data from September. So that's kind of that. That's the Fed. Should be interesting. We have about 8 minutes. Well, I'm going to try and get off before the Fed, but we have 17 minutes to it. I'll try and get off by like 150 or so. IWM sitting here, the 50-day moving, actually it's the 200-day moving average is I think it was 182.49, and here it is. IWM is back under that 200-day moving average. Still holding those speculative puts, more of a hedge right now. There's going to be volatility with the Fed. Premiums are going to probably start ramping up in the last 5 minutes before 2 o'clock. If it can't get back over that 200-day moving average, I think again, possibly some more weakness coming on IWM, and that's why I kind of went and got those puts. Which brings me to LULU, another position I have puts on. Not another position, another stock I have puts on. Take a look at LULU, and I talked about on Monday's rant. That sector as a whole, ULTA, so premium sales, premium brick and mortar names, and premium just folks that are probably going to have somewhat of a struggle. I guess you talk about the student loans coming back online, so people have to budget differently, maybe not able to afford as much LULU products or cosmetics. So you see these names like LULU and ULTA just destroying estimates, beating earnings. ULTA 2 quarters of monster beat and raise. LULU monster quarters back to back, and the stocks have just faded those earnings. LULU actually went higher, and then it's pretty much closed the gap on its earnings. Sure enough, what happens this morning, Needham initiated a buy rating on ULTA with I think it's a $470 price target. Some of the reason why it's up here at 3%. If the market does find weakness, I think it heads to 370 and below. So I'm not going to sit here and try and average down or do anything like that, but certainly, it was at 393 on Monday, so I think there's an opportunity to play for more downside if the market doesn't find footing into the end of the week. And I wouldn't get puts for this week. I'd probably look for next week. So that's LULU. GNRC has their I think it's investor days on September 27th. Stock is finally starting to bounce after hitting the lower Bollinger Band. I think it's been at it 4 days in a row. It hit the lower Bollinger Band on GNRC. Typically, it could just keep hitting it and melt all the way down to $100. I didn't think that was going to be the case. At some point, it's going to bounce. So maybe this is the start of a nice bounce. 200-day moving average is 115.89. If it gets over that handle today or tomorrow, I have to think by Friday, 118, 120 is well within the realm of possibility. Not to mention possible some catalyst, maybe some analyst comes in and upgrades the stock or something to that effect. So hopeful there on GNRC after 2 abysmal days. Hopefully that starts to come back to life. It's up, it's up about 2% right now. Intuitive Surgical ran out. It actually reversed course yesterday, despite the market weakness. Was in the green. Closed right. I think it was 299 to change. It was over 300 for most of the afternoon, and then this morning was all the way up at 303.40, which was pretty much the highs that hit on Monday, and it couldn't break through that. So we'll see if Powell's able to paint a decent picture. The market finds some support here. Maybe ISRG gets back over that 303.40 handle. If it gets to 305 or so later today or tomorrow morning, I think 310, 315 comes pretty easy. So I already gave my rant on ISRG, why I'm pretty bullish. Well, I wouldn't call it bullish, but I think it's sold off more so than it should have, despite, I guess the concerns around surgery declines, things like that. What else was I coming on to talk about? Intuitive Surgical, Weight Watchers, LULU. IIPR is finally starting to look good here, but it's going to need to get going here for the, let's see here. Sorry, I'm just looking here. I was looking at the chart on IIPR this morning, and it looks like almost a bull flag setting up. So you had that move, let's see, move from 77 all the way up to 90, and then it seems like consolidation. So you're talking a $13 move, which would put it around, let's see if I can, of course it's not working, which should put it around like $93 or so in the coming days. So that's definitely something I'm watching. Good sign here. It's reversing course from the last 2 sessions of weakness. Some of that I think has to do, I guess, let's see, expands the breed, paradise. So I'm just trying to find some stuff here. So hopefully IIPR starts going in the right direction. Still like that name. I think at some point it's going to trade into the 90s, possibly 100. On the flip side, what else was I looking at today? Crazy with IBM, right? So IBM's a name I played on and off for the last couple of years. We figured at some point the company was going to return to being, I wouldn't call it a momentum stock, but it was going to start an uptrend. And of course, finally after the earnings, I think I traded, I have the 145 Septembers, I believe. And I sold those for nice gains, but it went much higher after I sold it. And then sure enough, I had just rolled it out into October's. It traded up to 152 today. RBC Capital initiated coverage on IBM. Here's a company that's been one of the oldest companies on the planet, and they just initiated coverage on IBM. Where have they been? But $188 price target. Not only that, where have they been? The stock was $120 back in May. So it's already up $30 from then, and now you decide you're going to do a buy rate. So, but a lot of it, you have to, this AI craze is not going anywhere, and IBM certainly is positioned to take advantage of it. And I think that's some of the reason why not only is the stock start to melt higher, but then this upgrade this morning from RBC. But not going to trade it just yet. But interesting story. I'm trying to think of some of these other names. So, Cardlytics, which I was talking about, I think I was talking about on Monday. It was all the way up to 19, went down to 14. Let's see if I can pull up the chart. And then it's back to 16. Yeah, it went all the way down to $14 yesterday, early morning, right after the open, or maybe it was 10 o'clock. Melted higher, recouped some of those losses, and then Here it is today. It was at 1675. Actually gave back some of those gains already. But yeah, such a volatile name. At some point probably it's $20 and higher, but it's tough to stomach those moves. You think you're doing great. It's $19. You hold it, and then the next day it's down to 14. That's what was that, $5 by 19? I mean, there's a 20% move in 2 days. I mean, that's hard to stomach. Yeah, again, I keep talking about VKTX. The story hasn't changed. There's not much. You can have a bull case on the name and think it's headed higher, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the market thinks or the market's doing. Heavily shorted name. I think people still think the competitive landscape for not only NASH, which NASH is kind of I think it's pretty much done with these GLP-1 drugs, but if they think that even if VKTX comes out with positive data on their oral solution in Q4, they're going to be so late to the market with GLP-1 that the competitive landscape is going to be too strong. But at the same token, their data for their phase 2 that happened in Q1 was phenomenal. It was better than NVO and LLY. So if that continues to trend, you would think they're going to be acquired, or when they do get to market, I mean, people are going to gobble up. They're going to do really well. So just a tough one. I'm not going to add anything else yet. I would like to add some more to them, maybe even to further out, but for now I'll just hold on to those strikes. Anyway, it's 151 here. I'm going to get off audio. If anything crazy happens with the Fed, I'll get on. You have to think the Fed's going to just keep rates the same. They have their plot dots where you're going to be able to get a better handle on where they think the path of, are they going to start cutting rates in middle of 2024, at the end of 2024? But for now, it looks like they stand pat this meeting, possibly raise rates at least one more time before the year is out, the last two meetings of 2023. So that's it, folks. I'll try and get on later. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.